So welcome to the big Premiership review, round 13. My mission to watch every single Premiership game in the season and report to you, and also talk about which England players are looking good in each round. So let's get stuck into it. Here is the summary. A nice close game against Sale Sharks and Northampton Saints. Saints slow to get going and punished for it by the Sharks. Then quite a poor affair by the two bottom of the table teams, with Chiefs just nicking it at the end. Then a couple of really good games, the best ones of the round I think. Bath versus Harlequins. Big win for Bath, but some decent tries for Harlequins, but they didn't look like winning. And then a rampant Gloucester do Bears what Bears do to other teams, and they took them apart with amazing running rugby. And then a really tight affair to finish on at the end there, with Leicester Tigers 22 and 29 to Saracens. That could have gone either way. And the table looks like this, with Bath stretching their lead to 10 points over Bristol, 56 points. They are getting a home semi-final. Then Bristol on 46, and then it's that tight bun fight that is even tighter than ever. Leicester on 41, Gloucester moving up to the playoff places with 41 as well. Then 2 on 39, Sale and Saracens. The Harlequins aren't out of it at all. Northampton kind of adrift there towards the bottom with the bottom two. So Harlequins were the big losers on the table, but still very close in points. Now, some of you guys have pointed out in the comments I don't have much club stuff behind me in my background, so I do take charity. If you do want to donate one of your old club shirts, do email me on rugbyanalyst@mail.com. Happy to take a bit of charity there, because I tend to focus on these international teams and my memorabilia is from that. So anyway, let's get into it. Sale versus Northampton, a really interesting game. Had to win this one with a bonus point if they're going to have any chance of getting into the top four, and they're not going to now. And they had a big blow there because Finn Smith was having his rest game, and they just don't have a lot of backup behind him. And Tom James, the scrum half, had to fill in, and it didn't go that great, and Alex Mitchell had to kick, and that was pretty awful as well. I mean, so they were fully stacked apart from that, but it was a big miss. Even so, Saints are very fired up. They're harrying in defence from the off, turning over some loose ball there, but it's Sale that are dominating possession and territory for that opening 10 minutes. Good powerful phases. Roebuck is looking $1 million at the moment in the prime of his life. He bashes through James in midfield, and then Roebuck again off a really nice long pass from Ford, and he commits 3 defenders as O'Flaherty wraps off his wing and dives in the corner. So really nice team try, very dominant. And to boot, it's a yellow for Tom James as he goes upright on Roebuck and gets a head collision. So nightmare start for Northampton, exactly what they didn't need. That is 5-0. And 10 minutes later, just when Saints are starting to build their first attack, it gets even worse. England high performer, normally Tommy Freeman, has a bit of a shocker. A pass on the floor gives Roebuck a counter-attack, and then he's desperate to get back and stop the break, so Freeman deliberately knocks on. They're down to 13 men. It's a yellow. A few minutes later, it's another try down. The wingers doing the damage for Sale at the moment. O'Flaherty kicking through to Tom Curry, who's wide, and he flicks in field to Roebuck, who steps ram a bit too easily. 13 men doesn't help, so that is 12-0 after 16 minutes. And I'm thinking at this point, surely it can't be another nil point for Saints. So 13 men, they do something actually pretty decent here. Quick tap penalty, and Dingwall finds Pollock hitting a big inside line, and good strength from Pollock to flip to Alex Cole. Another nice offload for Yogan to score. So when they're down to 13 men, that was pretty decent, but Mitchell can't goal kick, which is a bit of a problem. So anyway, it's 12-5. But 20 minutes into the game, it's Sale that are dominating the attack, and their imagination in attack is pretty good. Double crossfield kick play gets them into the 22. The next attack is even better as Ford takes it right to the line, and Carpenter, who has seriously bulked up, hits a hard straight line, and Roebuck pops up on his opposite wing this time and finishes off. So great work from the wingers, working off their wings. And at this point, Sale are winning the collisions, attack and defence. Second row Ben Bamber destroys James Rahm for a turnover penalty, and Saints are right back in their own 22, not helped by 2 horrible clearing kicks from the Saints back 3, so a poor kicking day. Hendy does make a break, but then painfully inside passes to O'Flaherty, so it's just going all wrong at the moment. So towards the end of the first half, Saints are actually starting to fire a bit. They're sticking to their normal tactic of passing out of their own half, and it pays off with 5 minutes to go as Tom James a half break, and then one long pass to get Henry Pollock clear on the outside. Rob Dupree, who's not having a good game, never been the most agile, he gets beaten on the outside, and Odendal again blasts into the 22. George Ford, who generally goes upright in the tackle, which is always asking for problems, he cops a yellow for a bit of a soft head-to-head contact, but still he's upright. But unfortunately, when Saints have a penalty, they can't kick to the corner that well because it's Mitchell instead of Finn Smith. They don't go close, and Tom James overcooks a crossfield kick, so they blow that one, or they could have been level at half-time, but it's 17-12. Into the second half, and we start with some Henry Pollock magic. An absolute worldie of a run, just a counter-attack. I mean, he has his doubters. I always get a couple of comments, but just look what this guy does. He is special. He's only young. He's going to get better, but goodness me, he bursts on the counter-attack, handing off Tom Curry and Cowan Dickey in one movement. Chips War, good pace, regathers, great try. Individual try of the season maybe, but he is going on the summer tour. He is special. That was a hell of a try there. Good pace, good power, and to make Curry and Cowan Dickey, current England internationals, look a bit silly, that is to boot. So 17 all, and unfortunately Rob Dupree's poor game continues. His tactical kick runs dead. The Sale front row, though, come to the rescue. Bevan Rodd and Cowan Dickey pop up Davison and Langdon for a penalty, but it's Roebuck's first error of the game, dropping an easy offload. But it's penalty advantage, and the much better Maul grinds 10 metres forward for the try. They retake the lead. Rod gets the benefit of that one, so it's 24-17. So Saints desperate to force the pace. They're taking quick tap penalties. They run laterally, which is what they tend to do. It's a bit desperate, maybe too desperate to make any of it stick. 63 minutes. Rob Dupree finally comes to the party with a nice tip on pass, helping Sale go full width twice, and Saints are completely scrambling and they get caught for an offside, so they kick that one, so it's 27-17. And yeah, without Finn Smith, the kicking is absolutely woeful. Drop kick restarts are terrible, line kicks are terrible, goal kicks aren't good, and Mitchell kicks a penalty completely dead to touch, so that really hampered them. They've got to have a better backup to Finn Smith. Then 5 minutes to go, Saints still chasing. Good play from Alex Mitchell. Quick tap penalty, firing a pass into a retreating Roebuck. A bit sly, but he buys another penalty. 10 metres line out, and we have Tom Pearson on, who made some huge carries. He's very direct, and Dingwall dummies and goes over off the drifting defence. So it is 27-24, 3 points down, 4 minutes to go, and it's 10 minutes of solid defence for Sale, as they are hanging on a bit. One more decent chance for Northampton, but Joe Carpenter turns it over. So full time is 27-24, that Saints League over. A good win for Sale in the end, although not completely convincing. England watch, well, I thought Bevan Rodd looked good in the front row. George Ford, another fine game, keeps churning them out. Tom Roebuck's in the form of his life. And for Northampton, Mitchell and Freeman had flashes of brilliance, but Henry Pollock looked absolutely outstanding, particularly in attack, and he looks like he's definitely going on that summer tour. So the next game was Exeter 17, Newcastle 15, and it wasn't a great one, to be honest. It's the one match I didn't make a huge amount of notes on, as I was having to do something else at the same time, but I still watched it. But it didn't have the same bite to it, because of course relegation is not on the cards, and it really was only for pride. I guess Exeter could catch last year's winners Northampton, but I don't think it's going to happen. But this was a game that Newcastle could have won. They played fairly solid, but a last minute try by Greg Fizzleau killed that one there. Steve Diamond not happy with the build-up, thought there was a clear out that should have been looked at. But anyway, Newcastle, yeah, slightly the better team, I guess, but it's not going to change anything materially apart from a nice motivation boost. On 6 minutes, it was a nice team try from Exeter. Fast ball movement, offloading, big centre Will Rigg dived over, so you're thinking, oh, maybe this could be quite a good game. Not sure what the fullback for Newcastle, Obatiembu, was doing, not staying wide, so that wasn't great, but still decent team try. And then an intercept a few minutes later on 12 minutes. It's the young England under-20 scrum half Joe Davis spotting a laboured pass from his under-20s colleague Ben Cohen, and he goes in off the intercept, and he is a serious prospect, one that Newcastle have to keep hold of because they keep losing their big boys, and he's going to be a star. I think he will be an England player, although still young, so he'll be there for a couple of years, I imagine, but other clubs will come sniffing for him because I think he's class. And then on 27 minutes, Newcastle take the lead, and you have to ask questions about the Exeter's defence because the attack build-up was very slow, to be honest, just round the corner forwards, nothing particularly special, and Exeter have the numbers, but two defenders go to one, and it's a nice simple one for Max Clark in the end, so not great for Exeter. until we have the end try there. Kane James, the under-20 star, who we've interviewed on the channel, makes the break and Fizzolo finishes wide. So it is what it is. Neither side look great and they look destined to stay at the bottom of the table, I'm afraid. Then on to probably the best game of the round, Bath versus Harlequins in Bath, 47-28. And it was some perfect attack from Bath to start with. One attack, one perfect try, a Jomo who played really well, a nice pull behind. But what made this launch play special was Spencer wrapping around for the second pull behind passer, allowing Russell to be wider out and use his running game to draw in Nick David, who steps in maybe a bit too early, and he gives the pass to big Joe Thocknasiga, who's looking really fit and strong, and he blasts through Green, Beard and Isgro, and Thocknasiga piles through them all and scores. And for some reason Isgro thinks it's wise to go upright on the big man a metre from the line, and he gets knocked out in a yellow for his trouble. So great try for Thocknasiga, disaster for Quins. That is 5-0. Then the next launch play on 8 minutes is another great try. It's a scrum, they make 40 metres off it, it's really coordinated, powerful phases, and my favourite player, Ted Hill, powers through. Quins are being outclassed pretty much everywhere, their tackling can't stop the Bath carriers, and they're looking a bit average. It is 12-0 after 8 minutes. Quins do get a bit of offloading going through Marcus Smith with a small break, but can't make anything stick, and they're being out-muscled. The power stakes are impressive from Bath. Ted Hill again looking as quick as a wing, and he hits like a train on the chase. So got to be on the summer tour as a starter, I would say. And when the 10 minutes for Isgro is up, on comes last week's match winner Jamie Benson, and they push Marcus Smith to 15. Interesting, similar to what England do. I don't know if it's the best play, but that seems to be the trend at the moment. And Quins with Benson on look like they've clicked a little bit better. It's a nice delayed pass from Benson, and centre Luke Northmore is clean through with what looks like an easy 2-on-1 to Green, but for some crazy reason he doesn't give it. I don't know why. That was a bit of a shocker, and then he backs it up by dropping the next easy path, and Bath gained 50 metres with a line out. So a bit of a disaster there for Northmore. And then that's compounded by the next great attack from Bath. It's more brilliance from Ted Hill as he runs clean around his opposite man, Jack Kenningham. And then he pops it to Glanville. He goes clean through and Bath batter the line. Quins are on the ropes and they cop another yellow, this time for Marcus Smith playing the 9. So really bad stuff. Pick and go simplicity is too much as big Ross Maloney goes over. 19-0 after about 15 minutes, and it's absolutely disaster for Quins, but Bath are playing like an international team who have literally every area covered. And a few minutes later, it's another Bath try, and it's another shocker for Harlequins really, as Ted Hill just batters more metres than he should from the restart. And I paused the game at this point because the Quins, for some reason, have 4 defenders marking absolutely no one on one side of the pitch as Bath switch their whole team the other way, and they have a 3-man overlap, of course. It's Charlie Ewells, of all people, who can just gallop around the outside, and it's winger Will Muir for the score. So good from Bath, but Quins really not organising their defence quickly enough. 26-0, really painful. On 24 minutes, Luke Northmore makes up for his previous error a little bit as he fades outside Redpath using the pace of the pass, which is nice. And this time he does give the 2-on-1 and he gets it back for a try for Northmore, so 26-7. Just a little note here on Will Muir. He's an absolute beast in the air, maybe the best in the Premiership at chasing kicks. And of course, Spencer's probably the best box kicker in the tournament, so that's a big strength that Bath can use. In the last part of the first half, Quins are getting a bit more competitive, but 2 drops from Cunningham South spoil some promising attacks, and that can be his weakness. Some big carries from Cunningham South. Don't get me wrong, he was probably their best carrier in this game, but dropping ball in positions he shouldn't has been his problem, and it was there. But still, much better ball for Quins a few minutes later. I like the speed of Will Porter getting the pass away from the ruck. The phases finally tick past 10, and Lamasatelli's bulk just piles over eventually, so that was much needed. 26-14. But just before half-time, there is a dagger to the heart of Quins. The ball's loose, it's a bit lucky, but it breaks for veteran hooker Tom Dunn. Can't believe his luck as he's just completely unmarked and he can run 30 metres, and there's a big overlap for Will Muir to get his second. So painful for Quins, 33-14, but I think Bath deserved it. In the second half, Quins pick up their attack a bit with some good speed, some good offloading, start to cause issues for Bath, and Will Porter again a live wire. But again, Luke Northmore has a potentially scoring pass and doesn't give it. Really got a problem there. Not sure why he does that, but anyway, the attack slows down, but the pick and go does the trick, and it is a powerful finish from England prop Finn Baxter. So that was decent, 33-21. On 50 minutes, I'll make a note that Joe Thokanasiga's having a really good game, reminding us he could still get more England caps. There's just a lot of competition. He's quick, he's strong, his skills and his work in the air maybe aren't as good, but anyway, he has a big inside line off Russell, offloads to Barbary, and it looks like it's going to be a try, but the offload was slightly forward. But still, good positive play from Thokanasiga, and on comes Bath super strength, and that is their strength in depth. We have Pepper come on, Underhill come on, Thomas Dutoy. It is ridiculous. It is the best in the league, and that's really what puts the game away. And it's just too much as Benson's getting a bit too desperate in attack, and he fires it long and he gives it straight to the hovering Max Ajomo, who's waiting for it, and he goes the length of the pitch to score 14-21, and that pretty much is the game. We still have time for some more highlights from Ted Hill. I should be wearing my Ted Hill fan club badge as he plucks a ball out of Marcus Smith's hands, chasing a kick, but eventually Redpath takes his eyes off the ball with a simple walk-in, so that was a poor one from Redpath. Danny Care's on, but doesn't make much of a difference, kicking a bit too long, allowing Bath to counter-attack. De Glanville's looking very good as well, and he bursts through on one of those counter-attacks and pops off to Van Veek, who's in the right place at the right time, and the big prop scores, and Quinn's just a bit too easy to score against, I guess. So 47-21, and Bath look to finish the game in complete control until fullback Nick David makes a nice individual break, and he gets Quinns up to the Bath 22 for the last time, and hooker Sam Riley goes over from a maul for a bit of a consolation. So that's 47-28. So England watch, well, Ted Hill I thought looked fantastic in the centres. Max Ajomo looks more and more high quality, like he can do everything. Thokanasiga and Will Muir showed they have qualities, do they have the all-round game that England need, but they're still decent, and Tom de Glanville is showing he is a decent all-rounder at full-back as well, so plenty of good plays there from the England guys at Bath. Then on to the craziness, that is Gloucester versus Bristol, 53-28. I mean, these two teams attack like crazy, so it was made for a crazy game, and Gloucester blew away Bristol like Bristol often blow away their opposition. And straight away from the first attack, the Cherry and Whites, they score. Young Charlie Atkinson turns a drifting Van Rensburg inside out to set off a play, and Carreras, operating at 15 today, chips perfectly for Wade to dock down. I've said it before, Carreras is absolutely class, and they're so going to miss him, but whilst he's there, he is making hay. So 5-0 there. On 6 minutes, I make a note that the Bristol defence is really struggling. When teams play against them like they play, they're just not that great. Maybe they don't practice it as much as attack, I don't know, but Gloucester are getting on the outside very easily. They kind of push up trying to stop Gloucester going to the outside, but it's too slow. It's a bit of halfway house. Harry Byrne's really struggling with pace to drift. He had a poor game. And in attack, Bristol was sloppy as well. Their own launch play was poor. Harry Byrne, another mistake, passing to no one. Hathaway nearly butchers the chance with a wonky kick. His kicks aren't great, to be honest, Hathaway. Never quite been convinced by his Welsh performances, but Carreras is class, and he picks it up to rescue it, to give it back to Hathaway. So that is 10-0. On 40 minutes, it's more of a shocker from Harry Byrne as he's bumped off by Seb Atkinson. Atkinson's not massive, but he's powerful, but good bump off from Atkinson, who had a great game, scored 4 of course, and he breaks through and passes to Harris, and Bristol just have to wake up because it is 17-0 after 14 minutes, and Byrne kicks the restart dead to boot, maybe the worst 15 minutes of his rugby life. On 22 minutes, the floodgates are open and the Bristol defence is just all over the place. Hathaway has an overlap down the left, his long inside pass causes some chaos. Thomas Williams keeps going and puts a no-look basketball pass inside. He actually played Welsh schools basketball to Seb Atkinson for another try, and it's just scoring at will here. 24-0, 20-odd minutes, bonus point. Unbelievable. Then the first chink of light for Bristol, and their attack's not been great as Gloucester have just been shadowing the lateral attack across the pitch. But Fazigborn thinks there's going to be a stop in play and switches off, but Randall skins him and it's a try there, so 24-7. Then finally, Harry Byrne comes to the party with a nice switch of play off a scrum, and he fires a lovely pass over the top to Ravovu, but his chip and chase just bounces away from him. So it's just a fascinating game because both sides rarely tactically kick. Gloucester full of confidence in attack. They go from their own 22 like Bristol would, and it works on 24 minutes as Freddie Thomas, a lovely offload out of a double tackle, and they're off, bursting out of the Bristol half. Charlie Atkinson joins in the fun with a no-look pass. James Williams really struggling in defence, trying to number up, and he's caught by the offload, and Atkinson goes 5 metres out, but they can't quite get the try this time. Bristol get a bit of a reprieve from a 50-22 from Harry Randall, and it's good for Harry Randall to show the England coaches that his kicking can be a weapon. Bristol finally go a bit more direct, and it's good lines from Mata, then Williams, and Rich Lane, the fullback, does brilliantly to skip away from Carreras this time, and Williams gets the finish. So a much better try, much better constructed, so 24-14. And just when Bristol might be edging into the game, Harry Byrne again on the half hour drops a wraparound, and he and James Williams completely muck up which players they have in defence off a Gloucester scrum. Harry Byrne has Atkinson cutting in, but Williams goes for him as well, and that lets Hathaway burst through on the wraparound off the scrum. And because Atkinson has just carried on his line, he's perfectly there to take the pass to score. But again, basic marking errors from Bristol there. Then we have a collector's item, a slow ball try from Bristol. It's Genge, Mata, and finally Lahif with Clement attached to batter over. So that's 29-21, so Bristol still in touch. But then on 14 minutes, Bristol switch off. They turn their back on Thomas Williams, and he taps a penalty and catches Bristol completely out. Lovely wide pass from Williams off the next phase, and the star man Santi Carreras steps nicely, then passes for Wade for another nice finish. So that is 34-21. Atkinson's goal kicking is a bit off. I'm not overly sure about Atkinson as an all-rounder yet, but he's still young. And then a couple of minutes later, another try from Gloucester, turning on the style. Seb Atkinson with his hat-trick try. It's a nice tap penalty and pass from Thomas Williams again, but the try is actually created by Seb Atkinson, who won the initial counter-ruck. So big statement from Seb Atkinson saying, I should go on this summer tour as a 12 for England. So 41-21. Then a third try in 5 minutes has the game completely won by Gloucester, and it's pretty average defending out wide by Bristol, as all eyes are looking in and they're not drifting at all, and it's two simple long passes and the overlap is on. It's really bad basic defending. Randall, for some reason, overcommits when they have to drift, and it's a nice easy one for Wade to go in, so that is 48-21. And then it becomes 4 tries in 6 minutes as the next Gloucester attack goes wide right to Wade. 4 Bristol defenders drift onto him this time, and the key to this Gloucester try is that all of their backs go across to one side, Barton, Wade, but Bristol stay there marking absolutely nobody. And of course Gloucester have loads of numbers on the right as the Bristol forwards once again half-heartedly try and close the space down narrow when really they should be drifting for their lives. So it is 53-21. The rest of the game is largely academic. There's one more for Bristol, but the game was over with that 4 try spell if it wasn't already. So 53-28, amazing entertainment, but huge questions for Bristol. If they want a chance of winning the Premiership, they've got to defend an awful lot better. But a big statement from Gloucester saying, whatever you can do, Bristol, we can do better. Then the final game of the round was Leicester 22, Saracens 29. A really hard grafting game, this one. Very much different to that Gloucester-Bristol game for sure. 3 minutes in, tight muscle, first blood to Saracens as Gonzalez picks and goes through the middle of a ruck. Sarri's trying to get the ball at high speed and succeeding somewhat. To Toji, a nice one-out pass to a static Jamie George, and it's not great defence from Nicky Smith, who can't get a good shot on George as he dummies quite slowly and goes over from short range. So 0-5, and we get 2 Sarri's tries in the opening 10 minutes. And in attack, they really are freewheeling, lots of continuity. George McFarland, lovely interplay down the right-hand side, and as the ball comes back to the left, a big decoy pod of forwards blast straight through, and Burke goes behind to Gonzalez, who scores down the middle. Tigers really struggling to scramble, and it's an opening salvo from Saracens, 0-12. But Leicester never go away, and they work their way back into the game, pounding into Saracens. Big centre Cater looks like he's powered over from short range, but that's ruled out by the TMO. But they really go through a massive spell of possession. The attacking phases are fairly basic. It is pods of 3 going round the corner, not overly quick, and Saracens seem fairly comfortable defending it until Tobias Elliott has a bit of a shocker, flies up into no man's land, and he can't make a tackle as Freddie Stewart goes past him, and it's just an arm on him, not a shoulder. So Mark McCall smashes the desk as he should, because that is Tobias Elliott's weakness. In this season we've seen it. He can do some great stuff, but also some poor defence as well. So 7-14. And after that first 10 minutes, Leicester have definitely got the momentum. About 10-15 minutes with loads of pressure on the Saracens line in their half, and the Tigers players noticeably fight hard to stay on their feet for a second longer, allowing them to resource the ruck fairly well, so they pile through the phases. On 26 minutes, it's a 10 plus phase of ball retention, and it does result in a Pollard drop goal, and you don't see a lot of that these days, and we saw 2 of them in this game actually, so it's 10-14. And I make a note that Tom Willis does make me chuckle a bit. When he carries, he lifts the knees, and it's just so nasty. I do like it. Must be really hard to tackle. And the contrast in attacking styles is quite vivid actually, as Saracens try and make everything happen quite quickly. On 31 minutes, an audacious grubber from Jamie George nearly works to himself, but of course when it doesn't work, it means they're not retaining the ball for a long period of time like Leicester are. Just before half-time, Saracens finally get back into some decent attacking position as Tobias Elliott gets a tap back. Elliot Daly, a nice pass over the top, but it slows down after good defence from the Tigers. And Lazowski goes for a drop goal, so that's one apiece there. So that is 10-17. Theo McFarlane plays the ball off his feet, and it's a final 5-metre line-out chance for the Tigers. They look odds-on to score. Montoya can't ground it, but Liebenberg can, and he is probably Leicester's forward of the season. That is 15-17 at half-time, which feels about right, but Tigers probably dominating the majority of the possession. Then just after half-time, a bit of a disaster for Saracens as Van Zyl carelessly offloads the ball in his own 22, and Adam Radwan, who was looking very lively, he's off, setting up a good double pullback play to work the ball nicely long. Nice long pass from Stewart to starman Liebenberg to dummy and go over. So 22-17, it looks like that pressure is finally telling for the Tigers. But a few minutes later, a perfect line-out launch play from Saracens. Elliott takes it hard up the middle, then simple hands out to Angus Hall. Freddie Stewart, he flies up this time in no man's land, a bit like Elliott was in the first half, and he can't turn and get back. So that was a bit of a soft try to concede there, so 22-all. Now the final try of the game though goes to Saracens, and Ben Earl is on, offering some good power and pace off the base of the scrum now, and he triggers a 50-metre break out of their half. Saracens scrum looking very dominant now as well. That launches another good attack, but Hall gets pushed into touch, and Saracens are definitely looking more likely to score the try, and it actually comes from a lesser mistake as Montoya tries to hit his jumper 5 metres from his own line, but I think Itoje just touches it a bit, and it falls to Theo Dan for the winning score. So 22-29, that's how it stays. Although there was one more chance for Leicester as under-20s flanker Ilioni throws Tompkins aside like a rag doll, but Shilcock throws a wild pass and it's all over. So tough match, could have gone either way. I think that slightly better attack from Saracens won it in the end, 22-29, although I don't think either side really looks like Premiership winning quality at the moment, but they both could do it. But anyway, that is my review of round 13. Let me know what you thought down below. Love to know it, and I'll catch you next time.